Yo, what up, everybody? It's Turn Bark time. I'm the Turn,
I'm the Bark.
and we have been here a long, long time. So, folks, for those of you keeping track at home out there, we are on season 6, Trace, episode 9. Episode 9. Hey, so really cool kind of opportunity. We took a week off last week because Bark, you had conferences, right?
Yes, and we do conferences in a one-night shebang.
Wow. God bless you, sir. That's a lot.
20 conferences over one afternoon to evening.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we got ours are next week with our half-day schedule and all that jazz. So, but this actually comes from this topic actually comes from Scott Ramsey and is super relevant because tomorrow and Friday are perhaps two of my all-time favorite teaching days of the year, and that is March Madness. Officially, the round of 64 tips off tomorrow, 9:15 a.m. Have your brackets in, have them locked up. But this question came from Scott Ramsey, and that is, where did March Madness all begin? We talk about it. It's a staple. Even if you don't like basketball, like you got a bunch of people who have never watched a college game, right? Don't care. But man, they'll pick a bracket because statistically, it's been proven that if you pick based on basketball knowledge, you have the same opportunity as someone who picks based on mascots, based on colors. And Barker, I didn't tell you this because I was trying to set up a bracket pool for all of Quincy Middle School. So I had to make a Google Classroom for it. And then I posted the one assignment was the bracket. And they have to click submit by 9:15 tomorrow. But there was a girl on Reddit, and I don't know where I'll have to try and find the article, but she claims that she went through and won her high school March Madness tournament by picking the cutest guys on the team. Whatever team had the cutest guys worked their way, and she ended up winning her bracket pool for the whole school.
Well, yes, if it works, it works.
Yeah, whatever you got, just enjoy yourself.
I'm sure that we're going to have a number of brackets busted by the end of tomorrow, right? It's always that way. There's always a surprise team out of nowhere that comes in. So, yeah, if you're unfamiliar, March Madness is essentially the NCAA championship tournament. And so it started all the way back in 1939. And today we have 68 teams that play.
Yep.
Right?
1939?
1939.
How many teams?
8.
8.
8 conference championships or conference champions. You had to be a conference champion to be invited to the tournament, and then the champions played. And now we're all the way up to 68. We had math? 2 games yesterday, 2 games today.
Yeah, so 2 games yesterday, 2 games today. The play-in games to get to the round of 64, and then the 16 games tomorrow and 16 games on Friday.
Texas lost tonight to
Xavier.
That's right. Xavier.
Bunch of in my second and fourth period both picked Texas to not only beat Xavier, but then to go on and win and beat Illinois. And so I had to go in and change their brackets because they told me to change it to Illinois if Texas ended up losing. Texas had control of that game too for most of it.
Their coach said that he felt like they had lost the game twice in there. They had gotten away from them twice. So, it's just interesting to think about. Like, we did high school sports not too long ago, and like the WIAs started in 1905 or 1906. So like it predates this idea of like a national college organization. And I mean, it's interesting because like in the modern tournament, there are 31 different conference champions that automatically receive bids to get in.
Yeah.
Do you know how many Division I basketball programs there are in the U.S.?
In the United States?
Like the
D1.
beginning of the season, how many D1 programs are eligible to make the tournament?
I'd put it in like the 180s.
Higher.
220s.
No.
Higher?
Higher.
Okay.
31 conferences.
31 conferences. So I'm gonna go like, are we talking, we're not cracking 500.
No.
No, okay. So like let's do 317.
352.
Wow, holy smokes. That's so not only so making the tournament is an absolutely stunning feat.
Yes.
Like even if you're the play-in, like the Mount St. Mary's that just beat American, or the like, to win that game is a big deal because now you are, yeah. How many? That'd be another interesting question though. Did you see how many teams have won an NCAA tournament game? Like
how
I
many
didn't
programs have won
have won one game. That's the thing. Like
I know the head coach. There was a stat that the head coach from the American University is 0-4 in the dance.
Okay, so he's made it 4 times though.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it'd be interesting. Like how many teams in college basketball have never made the dance?
yeah.
Never made the tournament at all. But I mean, like you have some really obscure ones like throughout like the years. The one that I found the most obscure was where is it? City College of New York won a national championship in 1950. And then in 1951 was in in the middle of a point shaving game fixing scandal. So like immediately afterwards.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean like I've got some interesting ones here. So like you have right out of the Big West, you have the University of California, UC San Diego Tritons, right?
Yep.
Who are the Big West winners. Have you ever heard of the Big West?
Okay, so here's the crazy stat, and I don't know if you caught this one when you looked them up. That
Mhm.
I saw this. UC San Diego was a Division III school starting out.
Okay.
They had to sit, right? Because the rule is if you once you transfer D1, you can't like make the tournament or like any of that for a while.
Um,
They're eligible. This is the first year they're eligible. Both their men's and women's teams made the tournament. That's never happened for a first time eligible D1 school. Like, how cool is that?
it's pretty amazing. One of the other teams that's like one of the lower seeds is in like they played in their conference championship against a team and it didn't matter if they won or lost because
Right.
that team was not eligible yet because
Correct.
they're moving from D2 to D1.
D1. Yep.
I mean, it just like it's crazy to me because like obviously like I'm a football guy, so college football like there's 100 and I don't
Yeah.
even know, like 130 140 teams right now
Mm-hmm.
and trying to keep track of about a dozen conferences.
Right.
Here it's 31. I mean, like, how do you manage it? And it's kind of crazy because like WSU plays football in the Pac-2, the two-pac.
Yep.
And they played basketball in the West Coast Conference, which is where St. Mary's and Gonzaga have been the powerhouses.
Yep.
Apparently now Oregon State, but as well. You know, but like you have shoot, who is it? Somebody is it Grand Canyon? Grand Canyon won the WAC.
Yeah. The Lopes
The Western Athletic
Conference.
Which again, to me, the WAC is a dead conference.
Right.
Because it used to be like that. It used to be where Fresno and Hawaii and like all those schools were.
Yep.
But then it's gone away. Like it's one of those things. Like I'm realignment doesn't make me happy, but like looking at it, I guess there's never really been a time of you just kind of go back to what your default was and what you do. So throughout the years, there's been anywhere. I was trying to look at this. I think there's been anywhere from 8 to 68 teams where we're at now.
Yep.
Um, I would say, let's see, where'd I go? I kind of have this like rough timeline. In 68, well, no, hold on. 68, since we added the playing games. In 75, like in the mid 70s is really where it kind of got started to get bigger. They added at large bids in addition to conference champions because you had people who were in like the top 10 who weren't getting invited to a tournament. And now we've gone the complete opposite of that by letting, right? There's a record number of teams from the SEC playing in the tournament. 14 out of 16 teams made the tournament.
Yeah.
Donkulous.
Well, it's and there's losing records. Like there's league losing records, which again, like you could argue, like if their league is that good, then you would have like a reason, right? Like that team's battled a ton. You know what I mean? It's like kind of like I almost make the comparison in football, right? Where it's like, okay, we had Boise State as the 4 seed this year, right? Getting the bye and everything like that. Or they had 3. They were 3 seed. Yeah, because Arizona State was the 4. Yeah, I think. No, they were the 12th. Never mind. I don't know. Whatever I'm talking about. But anyway, the point being is that like Boise State, like the argument was that some of those teams, like the Ohio States, like that, deserved better because they played better people. But it's yeah, it's just it's whack. It's crazy to think about, like how.
And in all fairness, like some of these like 15, 16, 14 seeds are conference champions, right? But they're conference champions of like the Summit League or the Patriot League or the whatever the is it Mid-Atlantic Athletic Conference maybe for Mount St. Mary's. High points coming out of the Big South, Southern Illinois, from a town that starts with an E that I can't remember, Elkington or maybe. Right, the Cougs are coming out of the NEC, which like never heard of.
What is that team?
Huh?
You're talking about are you talking about the team that's playing Houston?
I would have to look at a bracket.
They're like a S. They're like SIEU.
SIUE.
SIUE. What's the name of that school?
It's Southern
Illinois University. Edwardsville. Got it.
What's the town?
It's Edwardsville.
Edwardsville. Sorry, I apologize. Go Cougs.
Go Cougs.
Oh man, Cougs fighting Cougs.
It really is.
I think that was funny. There was Gonzaga has a first round matchup against Georgia, and I thought about just writing on my bracket Bulldogs,
and just you can't be wrong.
see if I could sneak that one by, but then let him know. So yeah, and like it's a big deal, and so like I was thinking about it. So like March Madness, like where does the term March Madness come from? Because it's synonymous with college basketball.
I have it being used in 1939. Is that what you have?
Yeah, I have a high school basketball coach in Illinois who wrote. Or was it a ref? Or
yeah, I have a high school basketball official
by the name of
Henry V. Porter.
Okay, same person.
Yeah. Using the term March Madness to refer to basketball. But then the big one would be that the term actually doesn't get. Can I use the word shanghaied there? Would that be appropriate?
Sure.
Shanghaied by the NCAA when Brett Musburger is covering the tournament. And I think, doesn't he still cover the tournament? No, he doesn't anymore. He doesn't. Never mind. He used to, and he did for a long time. But Brent Musburger was a analyst, and he was the one who used it at the 1982 tournament. So, again, the term we use today is still it's older than both of us.
Yes. I'm not.
We're not. Yeah, I was like, close. You're not that old.
Close.
Yeah,
but not quite.
Yeah.
And I learned about this watching something else. I was watching about other conferences because I'm a weirdo. Okay. One of the other conferences, I'm trying to think what league it is. There's another channel on YouTube that does like where like the history of other leagues. Like he did like the Big South and like the Southwest Conference and like the Big East. The Missouri Valley Conference.
Yes, that's the one.
Their conference is called, they have Arch Madness. Because they always play their conference championship in St. Louis.
Yeah.
So it's Arch Madness instead of March Madness, which I thought was pretty clever.
That is very clever.
The good old Missouri Valley Conference.
Yep.
And that was interesting because, like, again, like the term, the big dance. And so, like, that term, first time it was called the big dance was by a coach from Marquette, Al McGuire, 1977, said, they were asking him like about a game, and he's like, "You got to wear your blue blazer when you go to the dance."
Oh, okay.
So it was kind of just like an off the cuff comment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And now it's the big dance. Like, we're going dancing. Like, it's again another term that's synonymous with the tournament. Like, that's where I kind of went down like this rabbit hole of like different terms. Like, we talk about Cinderella. Like, who's going to be the Cinderella this year? Well, where does that come from?
Yeah.
And it's like, the first time it was used in reference to a team, people were thinking that it would be City College, but it's actually Holy Cross in 1947.
Right. When they win the thing.
Yeah. And then some people say it goes even further than that, because you think about Jimmy Braddock. If you're a movie buff about the Great Depression, James J. Braddock was a boxer.
Oh, Cinderella Man.
Yeah. The movie Cinderella Man. Like, and that's one of the things they called him was Cinderella Man.
Yeah.
So before a team got the moniker, it was a moniker used for an individual boxer.
Right.
Highly recommend.
Yeah.
Top 10 Russell Crowe film. But, and then I was like, you see all this stuff online now about bracketology.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, hold on. We're just making up words now.
Oh, Barker, I have a really good one that I've been saving. So just you finish bracketology, but then I have another one.
Okay. So bracketology was coined in 1996.
Okay.
And the guy who coined it actually, I don't know if he still does, but at one point taught a bracketology course at St. Joseph's College or St. Joseph University in Philadelphia.
Yeah, so St. Joe's the team that's the 2 seed?
Nope, that's
St. John's. Sorry.
St. John's.
St. Joe's is the Eagles?
I don't know. They didn't make the tournament.
They're a hawk. They're a bird. They're not in the tournament this year. But I know this. Okay. So, Barker, I have to tell you, since we're talking about terms, this just went to a completely different rabbit hole. But part of the reason Scott Ramsey wanted me to do this was an article that he read. It came out. There's an ESPN article that came out in 2021. And then there's a more recent article that came out in 2024. Parker, do you know what medical procedure occurs most this week?
Ooh, I do. As a matter of fact.
Would you like to tell our viewers?
Over the next 2 days, we will be experiencing record high numbers in scheduled vasectomies, so that men can sit at home and ice their injured parts.
Yep.
And have an excuse to not be at work, not do any work around the house, and put their feet up and just watch basketball.
So this has led to a term known as Vas Madness, like Vas Madness, which replaced, Parker, Vas Madness has replaced the Vasters. Because prior to this, most vasectomies occurred during the week of the Masters tournament.
Ugh. I'm sorry. I would much rather.
But again,
I'm not a basketball guy, but I will watch the tournament. But
same concept though as this though, right? Like you got to lay, you get to watch it, right? But I was like, Scott told me that, Mr. Scott Ramsey told me that, and I was just like, I mean, it makes sense, but
I remember that being talked about a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
It was just like the idea of like the day with the highest frequency of people calling in sick is the day after the Super Bowl.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Why
so
it's a
it's
national holiday.
Trying to, take care of yourself there.
Yep.
Now, at one point, the NCAA tournament, did you know that there were teams that were banned from competing in the tournament if they refused their invitation?
Really?
So at one point in the beginning of college basketball, right, the NIT, the National
Yeah.
Invitation Tournament, the NIT was actually more prestigious than playing in the actual national championship game.
And
And
sorry to
I think it
interrupt.
was, I believe it was Marquette. Marquette
Refused?
refused their invitation to the tournament and then was banned for a small amount of time before they
Wow.
flipped it back. But the NIT used to be, it was essentially, it was like the association, like you think about like the coaches poll and the press poll.
Yeah.
And essentially like you made the NIT because of the Metropolitan Basketball Writers Association.
Oh,
They used to be the ones that would invite teams.
that's crazy.
So it was actually like a legitimate like
Yeah.
AP poll kind of thing,
But it was a
right?
bigger deal.
Yeah, and it was only for like the first couple of decades, and then like once we like, I would say that March Madness really starts growing like in the late 70s into the
Yep.
80s because it goes
Yep.
from like 75 there's 32 teams, 79 there's 40 teams, but 24 teams get a first round bye.
Right. So it's
And then they increased it to 48, which reduced the number of buys to 16,
right.
right? And we just kind of keep snowballing so that we get more teams involved.
Hmm.
And it's probably because there's more conferences is part
Right.
of it. And then
Uh,
they're also offering those at large bids.
well, and the crazy thing was like, did you see the NIT technically started before
Mhm.
yeah, they started in 1938, which would mean not like a ridiculous deal, but like they had thought of the tournament. So the NCAA was probably like, we got to figure out something.
Yeah. Bring it back home.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's interesting because like I postulate, people are always like, why is the Super Bowl? Why are all the other major sports like always trying to like catch up to the Super Bowl? Like, why is the Super Bowl worth so much money for ad time? But it's the only,
One thing.
yeah, only sport that really plays like one game that determines it. And like that's how it would be for the national championship game
Right.
in college basketball. It's not a series. The
Yeah.
NBA, Major League Baseball, the NHL, MLS, I think it depends.
No, it's aggregate. It's a
Home and away match.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's so it's not you don't. I mean that's Premier League too. That's champions usually as well. So
Yeah. So I mean, I think it's one of the things that if you look at what these two sports have in common and like why they're like the two pinnacle, I also think that March Madness gets a lot of people involved because there's just so many teams from so many places.
right. Well, and what I like about it is that it's like you said, like it's constantly moving. So like I already told the kids, like tomorrow when they walk in the door second period, so my leadership class, we're gonna be working on something. But I said at 9:15, the very first game tips. Then the next game tips at 9:40, right? 10:15. Like there's a constant thing, so you can constantly be watching these. And obviously it slows down as the tournament progresses. But the biggest thing and the best thing they've done probably for themselves is they put together this bracket, right? Like having this bracket and then having people pick the winners and offering prizes. And it's something like it's a proven fact too. Like you look at, some of the biggest upsets we've seen in I was telling my class because they're like, Turner, do we watch the games? And I said, yeah. I said one of the craziest things was we were actually in um what was it? We were in the old school, right? It was we were in our old hallway, and I had the game on, and my class that was in there had picked Virginia to win the whole thing, only to see the University of Maryland, Baltimore County beat them as the first ever one seed, and to win by 20. And so it's just that fun. Like you can pick based on names, you can pick based on colors, and so I think that's the hook, right? Like when did they start offering like brackets? It's the same question like we talked about, like I don't know if we ever had the conversation, but we talked about like you and I both play fantasy sports in
Mhm.
terms of football and things like that, and it's like you had some of those, like you had your high school league, right? Is that
We
what it?
started we started on pencil and paper. Like
Right.
we had scoring and like I
You
had
had
to
to look
get
at
a Sunday
stats.
paper and a Monday paper or a
Yep.
Monday paper and a Tuesday paper and go through and actually like do math by hand.
Right. And now you're at a bracket where it auto fills and it gives you stats and everything like that. So it's just like they've made it more user friendly. The Super Bowl has, because it adds the halftime show, right? Like they add a big name singer. They haven't been as good lately, but they've sold out on commercials, right? Like there's ways to do it, and like you said, it's one game. It's not, oh hey, if we lose this one, we have 3 more tries to stay alive. So, and that's
and I mean
exciting.
It's one of those things that, like, as we were going through it, I was like, the kids are like, every kid's coming in the last 2 days, 3 days, going, who's your champion?
Yeah.
Like, who'd you pick? Right. And like, you've got people who are picking the perennial, like, blue bloods.
Yep.
Oh, there's a term I didn't look up, but right, a blue blood is the idea of like a thoroughbred, right? Like a perennial powerhouse. And so, like, some people are picking Duke, some people are picking Florida, Auburn. And I was scoffed at because I have very daringly, probably not very daringly, if you looked at the Vegas odds, decided to pick the Red Storm of St. John's.
My mom picked them. I thought that's a great pick. I think it's an undervalued pick.
So I'm rolling with the Johnnies. Like, Jimmy Fallon dropped a promo song for them. They retooled the Wellerman.
Did they really?
Yes, they did, and it's even got Rick Pitino in it.
Oh,
so I thought that was pretty neat, and I was like, hey, you know what? Let's go.
Okay. Are you ready for Blue Blood?
Yeah.
Okay, so blue blood, the actual term blue blood originates from nobility in Spain, who worked to make sure that their skin was very white. Thus, you could see their veins blue-blooded, right? The term, according to, this is just a quick Google search, but they have it down as the early usage of blue blood was first used in basketball context in the 1927 Brooklyn Times Union article referring to talented players rather than the team. The term gradually evolved to describe teams that were consistently achieved at high levels of the success and were considered among the best in the country.
Now, one of the things that's going to come up is, I'm trying to think. I didn't write it down. People always talk about, and as the tournament has become more must-watch TV, people have talked about, like, they added, like, on the browser, they added the boss button, right, where it hides the games and it brings up a fake screen with this idea.
Oh, yeah.
A whole bunch of people who aren't getting vasectomies tomorrow.
Yeah.
And all of the women who are, watching, who obviously can't schedule a vasectomy.
I mean, you could tube tie it, but that's a little bit more complicated.
Yeah, that's a much bigger ordeal. Mm-hmm. What is the potential? This is a study cited by Fox Business. Okay, so that's my source.
Okay.
Right? What do you think in billions is the production loss over March Madness that is potentially estimated?
Ooh, in billions?
Billions of potential lost production.
Dollars. Oh, man. In lost production. I'm going to go out on a limb. I'll go I always hate this because I always feel like I go too high, and I'm not trying to go too high, but I'm gonna go 29 billion.
They figure that it's going to be $20 billion in lost production.
Holy cow.
Could result.
Yeah, not guaranteed, but could.
Yeah. So they're saying it could shave 2.4 hours of work per day. Right.
Parker, I might have to tell that to my class and tell them I can't show it because we're gonna lose $20 billion.
Well, and they're saying it's because 40% of fans will call in sick.
Okay, yeah.
So, like, part of that is production is going to slow because people aren't going to go to work. They're going to find some reason to not go to work.
Well, I mean, it was funny because I was talking to somebody at work today, and they sounded like death warmed over. and they were like, I was like, why are you here? And they were like, I don't know. And I was like, well, I was like, are you gonna be sick tomorrow? And he goes, yeah, I already told the office. I can fill out my sub plans. And because I'd brought him the Alka-Seltzer tablets that Bethany McCabe used to swear by, and I still swear by those things. Like, to get you through the teaching day, those things are the best. They taste awful, but they're good. Not paid by Alka-Seltzer. So,
I swear by shout out to JD Ott, the man next door. Emergency powder packets.
oh really?
Take an emergency, like drink it. You start feeling, like it starts to hit flu or cold or flu
Yeah.
season. You just dump an emergency into a glass of water in the morning. Down that, it tastes like something orange.
Yeah. Not Tang. It's not orange.
No.
But anyway, I was telling him, and I was like, well, I mean, if you're gonna miss a day, like tomorrow's the day to miss, just because. I mean, it's like I said, 9 a.m. to like basically 6, I think is the last tip, or 6:40 is the last tip Pacific time.
Something
so
like
it's
that.
like you just lay there all day. So, and then yeah, because I mean, and the crazy thing is like I have all the stuff in my class, and I already know that a lesson that normally takes a day is gonna take 2, because that's what I just kind of did. It's the end of the quarter, let people get caught up and stuff like that. But man, yeah, it's a doozy. So lost revenue, potentially $20 billion. Wow.
But I think again, I think they're throwing that out there because that's the outrage. That's the outrage number, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh my goodness, why are we doing this? This is so silly. Grr, 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 grr.
Yeah.
I hate to tell you what lost production has happened since people got cell phones, smartphones.
Barker knows
how much production has gone downhill since kids and adults are trying to get to level 95 of Block Blast.
Yep.
And they're gonna laugh like level 95. I'm on 3,995.
Yeah. But
what school has the most NCAA basketball championships for the men?
For the men?
Yep.
I'll go. I'm gonna have recency bias. That's the problem. But I'm gonna go Duke.
Nope.
Is it a blue blood?
Yes.
Or considered a blue blood in today's world?
So
I'd go Kansas.
Go further west.
Further west. Than Kansas. So who?
All-time great.
Oh, UCLA.
Yep.
Duh. That's bad. I should have known that.
Right. I think what I have written down is there's 37 different schools that have won a championship.
Yeah, and there's some freaking, like you said, there's some cool ones. My favorite still is that, like, so I really didn't watch like a lot of basketball, especially college ball, until I moved to Quincy, right? And then I was here by myself, and like a couple people were like, "Oh, do you want to come over and watch a basketball game?" I was like, "Sure, like I'll go watch, come over and watch." And so that's when I got hooked on like Gonzaga and like rooting for them really hard, right? Because obviously didn't go to Gonzaga or anything like that. And so I was like, oh, like this is interesting. Like I like this. But my favorite is that like Gonzaga always plays San Francisco. And San Francisco in recent years has been decent. Not great, but decent. And this year they were like 3 of Gonzaga's like big wins were being able to beat San Francisco. But San Francisco has 2 national championships. And it's because they had Parker. San Francisco, famous basketball player.
This is like when we play Immaculate Grid at lunch. I'll be like,
yeah, and the kids all know it.
I have no idea who played for the University of San Francisco.
No problem. If I'm remembering correctly, and if there's anybody watching this, they'll know. Bill Russell played for the University of San Francisco. And Bill Russell has multiple NBA championships as well. So he was a legit player.
Well, and like there's I'm trying to think, what's the name of the movie? It's about Western Texas, which I think is now UTEP, where they play, and it's not. Is it Glory Road?
Yes. I think so.
Where they start an all black lineup against Kentucky that was an all white lineup in the national championship game.
Yes.
Right. But like that's one of the things like you have to like follow about, right? We're doing world history and like we're talking about stuff and it's like, well, the country, this name is this country during this time period. Like it's not called what it's called today. It's called this. And so like even with colleges, sometimes you have to do that where it's like it wasn't always called UTEP, right? It was like Western Texas or something like that. Or gosh, I want to say what's another one? I want to say there was like another school that I want to say it's like a tech that used to be called like A&M. You know what I mean? Like a lot of land grant colleges tend to be like agricultural, like WSU, Oregon State have more of an agricultural and like, like like hands-on approach, like vocational, almost like influence in the beginning.
Yeah.
Than the universities of insert state name.
Exactly.
Or oh god, what was the movie? Probably wasn't great. If I watched it now, it probably wouldn't be as great.
Uh-huh.
But I think it was called The Sixth Man. And it was about the University of Washington playing in the big tournament. There's a set of twins that play for the University of Washington, and one of them like dies of like a freak like heart attack or something.
Oh.
And then he comes back, like his ghost comes back and helps his brother and the University of Washington like play well in the tournament.
I do not know this.
You've never seen this movie?
No. But Barker, I have a question for you.
What's that?
What school in the tournament has the largest population of students?
Largest population of students?
Yep. I saw this graph today and I was like, whoa.
Like not biggest stadium, but like biggest like stadium.
No. Just biggest student population.
Like enrollment.
Yep.
No, I don't want a video. Let me see. That's the NIT bracket. That doesn't help me. Bums. Straight up bums. Okay. My perennial guess. I'm trying to think. Actually, my gut wants to tell me Georgia.
Is not Georgia.
My newfangled, like new brain goes, is it GCU?
It is GCU.
Because
I believe, if I remember correctly, it's roughly 108,000 students.
But does it count their online people as well as their
on campus? But I believe that when they were doing this graphic, it was showing all the schools because Liberty was also up there. And I don't remember if Liberty was one. Liberty might have been one because Liberty was massive as well for their online school.
Shout out to Cameron Burt, current Antelope at GCU.
So Liberty's 110,000. So they're even bigger. So Liberty's one, Lopes are two. But what's crazy was like you were swiping, it was like a carousel picture on Instagram. So it was like it showed like down. Gonzaga is like one of the lowest, if not the lowest, with 7,300 and something people.
It's a private Catholic school in the middle of the Protestant West.
Yep. But High Point, right? That team that made the tournament and people are calling for possible upset and everything like that. They're 4,000 people.
They what?
They have 4,000-ish people.
Oh, wow.
Like, I mean, it's just crazy to think because then you have because again, like Grand Canyon itself is not, holding 100,000 people on campus. Like you said, it's online. Liberty's probably the exact same, would be my guess. Right. But like you think of like the big schools like Georgia, right? Like some of these like even football schools, have this. And then you got like Gonzaga, who's like got their like little group. And like if you walked around campus, you're probably gonna see a basketball player at some point. Like it's not massive. So but
yeah. Well, I mean, like you would think that like if you know about college football, like you would probably guess Michigan because Michigan has their stadium's the Big House, right?
Yep.
Has the biggest football stadium in college football, which I want to say probably bigger, might be bigger in some NFL stadiums.
They are. They're SEC schools and Big Ten schools have bigger than they hold hundreds of thousands, not hundreds of thousands, but they hold above 100,000 people, where most NFL stadiums don't.
Yeah, you got to keep the ticket costs or seats scarce so the prices stay up. So yeah, I mean the tournament's always fun. There's always somebody who ends up being the darling of the tournament.
Yeah.
It's a great opportunity just to kind of, I guess that's the nice thing, that there's supposed to be a lot of opportunity. I mean, it'd be nice if there was less opportunity for the SEC.
Yeah.
I mean, the previous record, I think the Big East in 2011 had 11 out of 16 make the tournament.
Wow.
Do you know what 2 men's teams did not make the bracket from the SEC?
The 2 that did not make the bracket from the SEC. Okay. Wake Forest. Wake Forest. Or are they ACC?
Nope, they're ACC.
Okay. Let me think. Florida State. Nope, they're ACC too. Never mind. Oh, that's bad. My wife would smack me for not knowing that. Okay, let me think.
Can she name the ACC?
No, but
where did she go to college?
Florida State.
Oh, she's a Knoll.
Yep. I got a cool story about that sometime. Probably when we're off camera. But what let's see. Okay, so I'm thinking the SEC. Oh, no, it wouldn't have been them. They're in the Big 12. 2 schools from the SEC. Is North Carolina State in the SEC? Or are they the ACC?
I believe they're in the ACC.
Okay. Man, this is... Because I guarantee I know both of them, but I'm trying to think now. Because you can't tell me states, because that gives it away. So, okay. So, let me think. Just think SEC. So it's not Alabama. It's not Arkansas. It's not Kentucky. Kentucky's in the SEC. It's not Georgia. It's not Florida. So Texas made it. Oh, or Texas Tech. Yeah, they made it. Oklahoma made it. What's your name made it? Vanderbilt made it.
Go Commodores.
Yeah, I'd explain what Commodore was to kids today. Let's see. Who else is in that league? They beat the living crap out of each other this year. Missouri's in there, and Missouri made it.
One's a cat, one's a bird.
One's a cat, one's a bird. Be a cougar, be a wildcat, not a panther. I don't know, Bark. Can you give me a state, or is that? I know it gives it away, but
one of them, I would say one of them is often referred to by its acronym and never by its full name.
Oh, okay.
And if you called it by its full name, people would not recognize the college. It is a state university. Joe Burrow.
Oh, yeah, LSU, Louisiana State.
That's right? Like who? If you say Louisiana State, like who is Louisiana State?
Well, when they say that, you're like who, and then you see the logo, and you're like, oh, the
LSU.
Okay, LSU. Okay.
Okay, LSU, and then the other one, every teenage boy's favorite bird mascot in college sports.
Oh, South Carolina didn't make it.
Yeah.
Dang. Yeah, that would have. Oh, our viewers would have been bored. They probably still were, but
I was like sitting there like, God, like instead of saying who made it, tell me who didn't make it.
didn't make it. Yeah.
Like I'm interested to see like how many former Pac-12 teams like play well.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then like just sit there and go like.
Also, how many? So hold on. So how many?
Conversation. One of our counselors, shout out to Coach Herrera, Oscar Herrera, who ran the hurdles for that other school in Washington that wears purple.
Yep.
Was talking about how the Pac-12 wasn't a bad league. They just had bad management.
Yeah.
So, and then our vice principal was talking about going down. She's going to go down to Oregon and watch some of our graduates. 3 to 4 of our different graduates compete at the University of Oregon.
Oh, nice.
So she said she's going to the University of Oregon. I said, well, that's unfortunate. And then he gave me a giggle. So there's one thing that unites Cougars and Huskies is their love to hate the Ducks.
Yep.
So
let me think about this really quick though. Okay, so Cal didn't make it. Stanford didn't make it. University of Washington
hold on. There's too many. The Cal, their women's team must have made it.
Yeah, no, so I've had to read the men's bracket like 5 times today when I was doing my class pick'ems. So I know who did and didn't. Like I know who made the tournament. So I guess I could flip it around the other way. So UCLA made it. So UCLA made it. Oregon made it.
USC?
Nope. No? Utah didn't make it. Colorado, I think only 2.
Oh wow.
Because
no, Oregon, Arizona.
Oh,
right.
Yeah, that's what I said, isn't it? Oh, UCLA 3. Sorry, 3 made it. 3 numbers. Because Colorado. Okay, so Colorado, Utah, both are out. Both Washington schools are out. Oregon State's out. Cal's out. USC's out. Stanford's out. So that's 3. Nope. What I got? 8. 8 plus 3 is 11. So I'm missing one other school. Probably California. No, they made it. Oh, Arizona State.
Not Arizona State.
Yeah, so that's my 9. So 3 of the old Pac-12 made it in. So
craziness.
But anyway, I think we've drug it out long enough.
Yeah.
So, but hey, we just had a lot of fun. Let us know if you have any more, please. We're always looking for stuff. We're always looking to talk about stuff. Conferences next week for me, so we're gonna kind of probably play that one by ear. In terms of whether or not we'll record, probably lean on the no recording side closer to that because I have a track meet that I'm helping with on that Thursday after. So the Battle of the Basin, Parker knows it well and fondly. So, but yeah. So, Barky, anything else?
Is that the first track? No, that's not their first meet of the year.
I don't think it's their first meet
because they should go to Ephrata. They should go have the icebreaker in Ephrata.
At Ephrata, yeah.
And I hate the fact that best Battle of the Basin meet. Okay, yes, I know that meet very well. I dislike that meet because it's right before spring break, so it's hard to get people to come work that track meet.
Yeah.
So, and if I know this was about basketball, but one of the things about high school track is that it takes an army to run a track meet, and it takes an army of good people to run a very good track meet, which Quincy is very good at.
Yep.
So shout out to our man Studes. David Stoddard, for those of you who don't know. Not all heroes wear capes.
Yep. He's a legend.
You find him in the Bat Cave at Quincy High School.
Yep.
Hiding away.
Yep. But down.
Yeah. Again, I was voluntold to come help at a track meet the other day, and really hard to brings back a lot of those good memories, great memories. Yeah. I went through and was looking at Quincy track records the other day, and some of those kids that coached are still records. So
yep, that's awesome. So,
but anyway, buckle up, everybody. I mean, it's we're gonna root for the teams that shouldn't win.
We already had madness. If you watch that opening game, the Alabama State St. Francis game, it was did you see that play?
I didn't.
Oh, get a chance tomorrow. Google it. Full 1 or 2 point 7 seconds left. Full court pass lands in the key. Like somehow nobody touched it. Everyone's just in a cluttered mess. Alabama State guy grabs it and just puts it up for a layup. 1.3 seconds left. They had a timeout because they had to look at the clock. St. Francis passes the ball in close, and the guy heaves a 3-quarter shot, and it's on. It looked, if I remember correctly, it looks like it's on target. It's just short, and I mean you already had it, so that's the fun part about it. So, but yeah, just enjoy the ride.
One game at a time. One game at a time. So. Yeah.
Parker's handing out $1,000 if anyone gets a perfect bracket. I mean, I don't know how that happened, but
I'm just hoping we do a little bracket challenge at work, all in good fun. Shout out to Eric Elliott, who manages ours. And he's like, oh, you're gonna. I'm like, dude, my money, I'm donating.
Yeah.
Like for somebody to win, somebody has to donate, and I'm the guy who generally donates.
Yeah.
And I'm happy that it's only $5.
When I send out the thing to Scott Ramsey, he just looks at me and he goes, "As long as Matt Canada, that damn hockey player, doesn't win again, I'll be happy." So, but anyway, all right. Until next time, guys. I'm the Turn.
I'm the Bark.
And we've been here a long time, and we're gonna keep doing it. Have a good night, everybody.
Be safe
and be well.